Good to have Bobby Thompson back, and we'll see as the green flag is waved how he fares as the first 30 minutes of qualifying is underway. This, remember, is in essence about not being slow. It's about getting into that top 10 that will determine the pointy end of the grid. We have, of course, the hybrid, and Ash Sutton as championship leader in this qualifying session has 1 second per lap. Tom Ingram has 3 seconds a lap. Jake Hill has 5, Colin Turkington 7, 9 seconds a lap for Dan Camish, 11 for Josh Cook, 13 for Ricky Collard, everybody else 15. And on such a short lap and a flat lap as well, Ash Sutton says it does make a big difference around here. Yeah, because you've got 3 long flat-out sections between the corners where, you know, it's down to sheer horsepower. Traditionally, cars that have been quick in a straight line have always done well here, so it follows naturally that cars with the most amount of the hybrid will also be the quick ones in qualifying. So Colin Turkington it is that is on track first and 4th in the championship. He's very much the outsider. Mathematically he's in the hunt, but of course if you were BMW you've got this problem. Yes, you'd like both your drivers to be up there, but in order for them to be in the mix they've got to work together. One's got to help the other really, and that ain't going to happen, I don't think. No, I don't think so. You know, they've got different sponsors obviously, so they're racing for their own sponsors, and it's very conceivable they could take points of each other. Yeah. And whilst Turkington is, as you say, mathematically still in it, the far greater chance of getting to Sutton and Ingram is with Jake Hill. Absolutely. Take that point about helping. Tom Ingram, with all due respect to the others at Accelerate, is a bit of a lone wolf because he's normally a fair chunk higher up the order than the rest. He hasn't got his teammates to help him, whereas Ash Sutton does have a Dan Camish and a Dan Rowbottom not that far adrift, so they could be more use if needed. Yeah, I mean, and at this point of the season, that becomes super important. Who can be there to help you? I mean, interestingly, of course, Ash Sutton's never won a race here, but then he's come here with the championship key in mind, hasn't he? But he has got those teammates to help him. I hate to be pedantic, because you know it's not in my nature. He's never kept a win here. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, this is true. Yeah. He's won on the road. He's won on the road, you're quite right. It was the MG all those years ago, and the rear wing was slightly outside the regulations, wasn't it? Him and Josh Cook had a 1-2, and they were both worked out. But yes, you're quite right. The stats will prove he's never had a win. Bear in mind, as you look at Bobby Thompson, we haven't yet touched on this, that Rory Butcher has been on pole position here for the last 2 seasons in the Speedworks run Toyota Corolla, which takes you back to the regular qualifying point. Every pole position this year, a Napa Racing UK Ford Focus. 1 of them to Dan Rowbottom, 2 of them to Dan Camish, 5 to Ash Sutton. So can this man do 3 Silverstone poles in a row, or can Napa Racing make it 9 out of 9? Or will it be somebody else? Well, I was wrong at Donington, but I'm going to predict that it will not be a Napa Racing car. I mean, that's actually a very big gamble, isn't it? Because Camish holds the qualifying record around here from 2020 and actually has a reasonable amount of hybrid. But I really think you could see a BMW or a Toyota here. I mean, Rory has a great record here, 3 wins he's had here. I think he was on the podium every single race last year. So he's a great, this is a good form track for him. It's also a great form track for Ingram, but of course he doesn't have much, only 3 seconds of hybrid. Yeah, it's been a sort of topsy-turvy place for Rory Butcher. He did have that huge accident in his motor-based Ford, didn't he? Who do you think will be on pole, David? I would go at the moment for Jake Hill, based on what he did in FP1. Okay, the only thing I'd say is that obviously in free practice they can use all the hybrid that they've got. Indeed. So it gives us a slightly false picture. So we've been fooled by this one before, David. We have, and Napa will probably mop up, even if they're down to 3 regular liveries, because Sam Osborne, as you can see, is in the Valvoline colours this weekend, which those of you with long memories will take you back to 1996 and the Schubel-built Fords that Paul Radisich and Steve Robertson drove within the British Touring Car Championship. They weren't the most successful of Fords, it's got to be said, but it's a kind of retro livery, and it does have a genuine link to that super touring age of Valvoline liveried Mondeo. So this is Jake Hill, fastest in FP1. Just going back to that point about, yes, he was fastest, but ... What do we read into Andrew Watson then being quickest in FP2? Anything? Yeah, the Power Max cars are quick here. Yeah. Both him, Mikey Doble, they've been quick. Looking at the speed traps, the Astra is well up on the speed traps. Of course, that's running the M Sport engine.
only them and Team Hard running that engine, but clearly it's producing some horsepower and they're benefiting from that round here.
And I know it was a reverse grid race, but we did have Rob Huff when he guested in that team a few years ago lead a race. Huffy not racing, but he is here and sniffing out a drive hopefully for next season. So the rear-wheel drive BMWs have stayed out, the front-wheel drive cars have been in to do a tyre cross, and only now are we going to start to see anything representative of proper times in the free practice sessions. It was a 57.5 really that was the target in FP1 from Jake Hill, a 57.6. Sorry, the lap record 57.5, a 57.6 from Jake within FP1 and a 57.6 again from Andrew Watson in the second. Last year's pole time 57.3 from Rory Butcher. That's really got to be where they're aiming now, as Tom Ingram offers up a 59 as his first salvo, 59.5 double three. There's a lot more to come, of course, but now at least that's the target.
Yeah, and dare I mention track limits? It's going to be a massive problem through here at Copse. They cannot run wide there. There are not one, but two judges of facts looking at that corner because there have been so many transgressions so far, but it's certainly going to be a feature of this qualifying. I think perhaps going back to when Camish set that qualifying lap record back in 2020, we didn't have judges of fact at so he might have got away with a slightly wider line than he'll be allowed to do today. He's in the spare car, incidentally, after the Donington accident. That's right. That's not the rebuilt car for Donington. They're taking their time with that, and it's the spare shell built up. It's identical in 23 specification, and he goes quickest with a 58.0.
He does indeed. George Gamble's had a lap time disallowed for track limit offences, so he's the first one. Here comes Jake Hill, two absolute bests. This should put the BMW up to the top of the times then as he comes into Woodcote Corner. It's going to get busy ahead of him on the next lap, so this needs to be a good lap, breaks the beam. Jake Hill goes quickest on a 57.776, 2/10 up on Camo.
Yeah, but still slightly slower than the quickest lap time we've seen so far, so I think there'll be a quicker one to come.
Mikey Doble up to second, going back to this Vauxhall Astra point. So Hill, Doble, Camish, Morgan, Chilton, Pearson is currently the order.
Yeah, I was looking at the speed trap, and the Hyundais are quick in the straight line. The Power Max cars are quick in a straight line, so no surprise that they're up on the lap times as well as the speed traps.
Right up towards the timing line then now comes Tom Ingram, and he has dropped back into 11th. Ricky Collard has now had a lap time disallowed, so the only two thus far are both Toyota drivers. Ingram's up to third, 57.9 then. This is Tom Chilton coming to the end of a lap, and Chilton's done two absolute best. This is looking good.
He is. He loves this place, as we saw in the pre-show. He's got 5 wins round here. He just has a knack round here. Interestingly, Camish improved on his second lap, so they can get more than one really good lap out of this. Chilton, though, 9th. So that third sector went away from him, didn't it?
Did a bit. Camish has had a lap time taken off him, but here he comes then. The car hopping a little bit as it comes down towards Brooklands, wheel lifting. Camish throwing everything at this, but he's down in the middle sector. As you can see, he's gone yellow, so you're looking for greens and purples within those 3 sectors. Sector 1 is round about 17 seconds if you're slow and 14 if you're good. The middle sector is about 19. Piece it all together up towards the timing line. Dan Camish breaks the beam, and it is slightly slower.
Yeah, just slightly slower. This is a replay of Chilton. Whoa, down the inside, big lock-up. Almost like he missed his braking point there, didn't it?
Yeah.
But he was very deep into the corner. But yeah, because it's such a short lap and you're really trying to get the right-hand side of the tyres working, because they only really get lent on through Brooklands, the one strong left-hander. It takes several laps. You've got quite a big window on the new tyres to do your quick lap.
Right, Ash Sutton is up to third fastest now. So it's Hill, Camish, Sutton, Turkington, Ronan Pearson 5th, and more lap times taken away from Dan Lloyd and Michael Crease.
Yeah, and as you talked about teammates being up there, Sutton's already got one teammate up there in the form of Camish, hasn't he?
And the next lap time that disappears was an Aaron Taylor-Smith lap.
Lots of people with their lights on, lots of people on quick laps at the moment. Here comes Ingram into the braking area, that's Chilton, sorry, into the braking area at Brooklands.
Ingram's gone fastest though, with a personal best in sectors 1 and 3, an absolute best in the middle. Tom Ingram to the top by 68 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, and looking absolutely inch perfect on on that lap coming through Copse. He was just out to the edge of the curb. That looked very good. What's the first sector? It's not an improvement.
Further down, Rory Butcher, 26th of the 27 at the moment, so keeping his powder dry, possibly. Ingram Hill, Camish, Turkington, Sutton, Butcher 6th. There you go, first proper effort, puts him 6th in the times, ahead of Pearson, Chilton, Doble and Josh Cook rounding out the top 10.
And I saw Butcher coming across the line. He was actually passing another car, so he probably has a little bit more to come.
Andrew Watson is the slowest at the moment, just behind Bobby Thompson, so there are two drivers you can anticipate to improve, as there is Ricky Collard, who's been a winner here in the past in Formula 4 and GB3, hurling the car up towards the exit now of Luffield, heading towards the timing line. Turkington, I think, I told you, had improved last time to get up to 4th on the hybrid. Is Collard as he comes towards the line now. And Dan Lloyd here, 1, 2, 3, deep into Beckett's, runs out of road. And as he tries to sort himself out, Ricky Collard has gone across the timing line but did not improve on that lap.
And he looked like he had a bit of a problem. He didn't lock up. He almost looked like he had a puncture, but there has been one change on the brakes technically for this weekend after the problems at Donington with Dan Camish crashing, and there was another problem in the pit lane as well with another car. TOCA have mandated that there are no line locks to the front brakes, which is what the drivers use to lock the brakes on, for example, on the start, so they can drag the clutch against the brake. So there's no line lock on the front because that's what failed on Camish's car. It won't affect the cars in normal running, but it could affect the cars once we get to racing tomorrow for front-wheel drive cars off the line.
Now you're looking there at Ronan Pearson, who is currently 7th. And there's a bit more concern about Andrew Watson, fastest in FP2, slowest at the moment, and back in the pit lane, suggesting all is not well.
Clearly some problem with him. One thing is that very few people used any new tyres in the free practice because they're quite limited on how many new sets they've got. They've got quite a lot of carryover sets, but it does mean that I can expect the times to get quicker as they get more dialed into the grip of new tyres.
It's Ronan Pearson wide at Copse, and therefore this lap may well be taken off him. We are with just under 18 minutes of Q1 to go, and things have calmed down a bit for the moment. Sam Osborne has been the last improver into the top 20, and now more driving standards flags are coming for the repeat offenders. So the pit lane pretty busy, some in, some out, but very, very few improvements at the moment.
Yeah, all the top guys in at the moment. They've all done their one main sort of tyre run. They'll now get geared up to do a second run with 4 tyres crossed over, and just leaving them enough time for a 2 tyre fronts if they need it at the end, and a big lock up for Morgan. That will have put a bit of a nasty flat spot on his set of tyres.
And Morgan at the moment is 12th, so those that are outside the top 10 and therefore need to improve: Rowbottom, Morgan, Jelly, Collard, Taylor Smith, Dexter Patterson, Dan Lloyd, Aidan Moffat, Daryl DeLeon, Sam Osborne, George Gamble, Bobby Thompson, Nick Halstead, Michael Crease, Jack Butel, Jade Edwards, Andrew Watson. Some big names outside the top 10.
So what you're saying, David, is that they all need to improve apart from the guy that's on the provisional pole?
Pretty much. Yes, everybody needs to now get into that top 10 somehow. I know sheer weight of numbers means they can't, but it's going to be fascinating to see how the likes of, for example, Rowbottom, Morgan, Jelly, Collard, who are normal front runners, get themselves in there. This is Ronan Pearson in the meantime, who has done 2 greens, 2 personal bests. He's 7th at the moment, and as he comes up now towards the right-hander of Luffield, heading towards the timing line, way up the curb on the inside there, but Ronan Pearson leaving nothing on the table then. He's on the hybrid as he comes up towards the line. He'll break the beam in a moment as he comes out of Woodcote corner, and where does that lap put him in the end? Keeps him 7th. He lost out in the last sector.
Yeah, and he was well across the inside at Woodcote as well, but of course you're allowed to do that because track limits is only applied where they have officials looking at it. Anywhere else it doesn't matter. So he took full advantage of that on the inside of Luffield and at Woodcote, but I don't think it actually really helped him, did it? He took such a wide line into Luffield, it probably didn't help him, but he is going well this weekend, is Ronan Pearson, celebrating that new 2-year deal with Accelerate, who also have announced a multi-year extension to their sponsorship with Bristol Spree Motors. So that team is alive and well, and talking about running more cars next year as well, up to 6 potentially at Accelerate.
Now that's Andrew Watson that you're looking at, and he's another driver who has got to try to improve, not only because he's not in the top 10, but he's actually the slowest. He's not done a proper lap time. But now that car looks like it's got decent pace. That last lap we saw of Ronan Pearson's has been disallowed anyway. Ricky Collard has now lost a lap. The list, as you would imagine, is growing all the time. Others to try to improve include Dexter Patterson, and we'll see what Andrew Watson can do. It's a personal best in the middle sector, but it would be really because he's hardly done any lappery, and now with half of Q1 to go, the road is getting busy again.
Yeah, and I need to correct myself. Of course, Ingram isn't on the provisional pole because this is the two-part qualifying session. It's merely to get into the top 10, isn't it?
So
at
Josh
the moment,
Crooks,
Rowbottom's the man. Sorry, Chilton is the man on the bubble.
right. Mikey Doble has gone through up into 4th. He'd already lost an earlier lap, but if he keeps that one, it's good enough for 4th, and Andrew Watson has gone 5th. So again, the Astras are up there, or at least 2 of them are. Where is Aaron Taylor-Smith out of all of that? He is 16th, so he's the one that you might be surprised to learn is further down, given that he's the more experienced touring car racer amongst them. But we also know that Aaron is capable of digging deep and improving. So you've got the cars, some cases now, lights on a flying lap, such as Aidan Moffat there, but also some fresh out of the pits, trying to get warmth into the tyres.
Yeah, and those at the very front, the Ingrams and Hills, probably, I mean, Ingram is in the pits, studying some data, probably looking at how his laps compared with perhaps a better lap or a different lap from free practice. But he doesn't need to go out again. He can save his tyres and get ready for the second part of qualifying with the top 10.
The top 10 are covered by 0.238 of a second, which is very, very tight. I know it's a short lap, but even so, it is very, very tight. 68,000 split Ingram and Hill at the top, 11 thousandths split Hill and Camish. The gap between Doble and Watson is 4 thousandths. Watson and Turkington is 3 thousandths of a second. How tight do you want it?
I mean, honestly, just under 3/10 of a second to separate 10 cars is absolutely nothing. It's infinitesimal in terms of driving. Incredible that so many different car engine driver combinations can be so close.
Right, Mikey Doble still looking quick, and as he comes up towards the line then, let's see what he can do, because he did a personal best first sector. He was down in the middle, so the lap for Mikey Doble when he comes across the line there puts him up to 3rd fastest. Mikey Doble's best showing of the season in qualifying. He's 1/1000th of a second slower than Jake Hill for second in this current Q1 situation.
Yeah, that's got to be enough to get him into the top 10. I hope he hasn't used too much tyres, because you've got to save some tyres for the second part of qualifying and for the races, but he's certainly through, I think, Mikey Doble. Great performance. He said he was quick in free practice. He hit the ground running. He was 4th quickest in free practice 1, and I had a quick chat with him afterwards. He said we just, unloaded the car and it was quick straight away, and the time came easily. And when a driver says that, you know that they've just found the right groove and the car setup is good, and it's always lovely when the lap time comes easy. The moment you chase that lap time or overdrive, you end up losing time. Rowbottom up to 8th, gets inside the top 10.
And that's at the expense then of Tom Chilton, who's going to be pushed out of that. No, he doesn't get in because Dan Rowbottom's lap is disallowed for track limit offences. So 8th fastest, but he lost the lap time, and it's not the first time we have seen quite a bit of this over the year for Dan. He pushes hard, but the track limit offences go against him. Aaron Taylor-Smith is on a mission as well. He's done 2 personal bests. He goes up the order, but only 11, so he misses out and actually goes ahead of Rowbottom.
Yeah, well, and of course, positions 11 on down will be actual grid positions, so yeah, exactly. That is for a grid position, but it's also a waste of your tyres to lose a lap time for track limits. So not only did he fail to get in the top 10 by having that lap time disallowed, he lost potentially the best of his tyres. Camish feeling he needs to still push on.
When it's this tight, even though you might think you're safe in terms of a position, but the time margin might tell you otherwise. Stays 4th fastest then as he goes through. Rowbottom is 8th this time, and he's keeping that one.
Yeah, is that long enough before the yes. warning comes up? You think that's okay? All right.
Josh Cook 13th, not good enough. Jake Hill quickest, 57.658, quicker by 16 1/1000ths of a second. Jake Hill to the top of the times. 10.5 minutes to go. Another improver, Aaron Taylor-Smith, into the top 5. That pushes Ronan Pearson out.
It's very tight at that bottom, isn't it? But yeah, Jake Hill showing he's got plenty of pace. And as we said, there's a few people in front of the first Napa car at the moment, so we could potentially have a non-Napa pole position.
It's only Q1. You wait for Q2.
Oh, you think they'll wind it up a little bit?
Well, that's when they really try, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but with the times, as you say, so tight, they can't really be leaving anything in the locker.
No.
They've got to give it everything.
Butcher and Butel are the most recent drivers to lose a lap time. Jake Hill's got himself with a few cars around him, so having gone quickest last time around, he stays out. That lap is sacrificed, but he's going to have another go here. What he wants to do is stretch the margin and be absolutely secure within the top 10. Aidan Moffat loses the lap, Aaron Taylor-Smith loses a lap. The list goes on and on and on and on.
You'll be on your second page of A4 soon, David.
Second pen, never mind the page. Turkington is 6th, Sutton is 7th, Rowbottom is 8th, Butcher is 9th, Pearson is 10th. They're all improvers. And Ricky Collard has had yet another lap disallowed, not for the first time in the session. Jake Hill, though, dropping back a little bit from the Napa Racing Ford coming out with Beckett's down Wellington Straight. And 9 minutes are on the clock now. Q1.
Yeah, we've got a nice mixture of cars currently in that top 10. We've got a couple of BMWs, a couple of Vauxhall Astras, a couple of Napa Fords. So we've got a good mixture of cars in there. Butcher in the Speedworks Toyota. And, of course, the Hyundais of Ingram and Pearson.
Ash Sutton goes across the line, up to 5th fastest, so that's OK. That gets him through, provisionally.
Sorry, I thought we might have seen some team tactics. Sort of traditionally around here, drivers try to give toes to their teammates if they're in that. But Sutton's going out there as usual, just doing it on his own, as Camish. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But they clearly feel they've got enough pace to just get on with the programme and get up there. Gamble, look, waiting for 2 front tyres. He's leaving the rears on that are already warm. With 8 minutes to go, he's just going to put a pair of new fronts on, which does give a lot more grip initially, upsets the balance a little bit, but you haven't got to go through the tyre warming and crossing programme.
Now this is Dan Camish, who on his last lap was fractionally slower. Let's see what he does in the first sector of this lap. Not an improvement, so doesn't look like a sparkling lap here for Dan Cam.
What does a sparkling look like? It looks like purple sectors, doesn't
Absolutely.
it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. The semi-sparkling one
is green.
Greens. Yeah. Anything else is still or sparkling. That was still. All right.
Are we talking tap water or mineral water? Definitely. This is top grade motorsport, so we're talking mineral.
Back to the plot. Tom Ingram goes through, but stays second. With a personal best in the middle, bookended by slightly slower sector times. But again, that should be enough to get him through.
Yeah, what's the gap in terms of time to the top 10? It's still only just over 0.2 of a second. 0.217 of a second. So that's 0.2 of a second covering 10 cars.
Yeah, it's narrowed, hasn't it, from when we last looked?
Yes, by
just under
a few hundreds.
Yes, every little counts, you should know. Bobby Thompson on his return to the championship, 14th, so he's in the mix. OK, he might not get into the top 10, but he's in the mix. Those that are outside the top 10 at the moment, who are the big names? Adam Morgan, Tom Chilton. Chilton is 5th, he's in. That pushes Butcher out, and Butcher is in the pit lane at the moment as well. So with 6.5 minutes to go, when he gets back on track, Butcher is going to be the most significant. There he is, new front boots going on. There's no panic at Toyota Gazoo Racing UK. Turkington is up to 7th. But he was in the top 10 anyway. That puts Rowbottom 10th. He's vulnerable.
Yeah, well, with 6 minutes to go and such a short lap time, Butcher's got plenty of time to get out, even if it was a minute and a half to get round, and then he's still got time for sort of 4 laps.
The biggest hat tip, you could argue, is to Mikey Doble. He's still there within the top 4 because Sam Osborne has gone 3rd. The Valvoline Ford into the top 3, a 57.726. He's off way wide at Cox, but Sam Osborne has delivered the lap of his life. He's 3rd quickest.
Wow, let's see if he retains that. I hope he does, because that will make him extremely happy. Look at that.
Even though he's not in Napa colours, he's the best of the Napa Fords.
Yes, incredible.
That puts Dan Rowbottom out of the top 10. So Sam wins, Dan loses out.
Yeah, well, there's still time, but fantastic lap by Sam Osborne. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say where did that come from, but you know, that's a huge improvement from his previous best qualifying positions. So far, I think his best qualifying so far, I'm having to look it up, but his best qualifying so far this year for Sam Osborne is actually 16th.
Well, right now third is quite something, and here is a big drama that he had coming into Brooklands, but a good save.
I wonder if that was on his fastest lap. He didn't. No, it wasn't. He aborted. Look.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if he stays in the top 10, the worst he could be is 10th.
Right, Dan Rowbottom has gone through. That wasn't an improvement, but this lap needs to be. But he's now got traffic ahead of him. Let's follow this lap and see what he can do.
I think he's slowed up. He's slowed up. Yeah, he's actually warming the tyres. He hasn't got the right feel for the balance, probably with a pair of new fronts on. Wants an extra lap on before he's ready to commit. Or he's looking for a little bit of track position. Turkington up to third. Turkington, so we've got Hill in the BMW quickest at the moment from Ingram, and Turkington third.
And the top 10 now covered by 0.181 of a second.
Wow. Wow.
It gets tighter and tighter, closer and closer. It's insane, isn't it, really? Over the timing line has just gone Sam Osborne. He's down to fourth, but even so, it's a mega effort. Hill and Ingram are both in the pit lane. 4 minutes to go. Dan Camish has had another lap disallowed.
I mean, what it does do is it pushes Sutton down to 8th. So he's still in. I mean, Morgan's just improved to 12th, but a couple of late improvements could potentially put Sutton out.
Butcher has gone back out, and his first lap time since the pit stop was disallowed. Collard has had yet another taken off him. And Rowbottom now, I think he's on a push lap, and he has to be now, but the first sector is down, so it's still not coming for him as we've got another shuffle within the order, and that is because yet another Rowbottom lap has disappeared. He's still 11th.
He's trying very hard, isn't he, to get in? Very hard indeed. Coming down towards Brooklands. He's had to cut around the outside of one of the Power Max cars. Looks like he missed the apex as a result of that. Will he get a clean exit to the lap? He run a little bit wider than the first apex, come back on the second. He's a little bit wide again coming out there. See how he comes across the line. Does this get him into the top 10? No, he's actually dropped to 13th because Morgan's up to 10th.
And Butcher is into the top 6. So Rory Butcher was another improver on that lap. So you add those two drivers into the mix and Rowbottom falls back. He's got to get through the traffic, but he's running out of time now. 2.5 minutes to go. So now Morgan 10th is on the bubble. Watson is the first one to miss out 11th ahead of Pearson, Rowbottom, Collard, and then Taylor Smith.
Yeah, and Sutton is now down to 9th.
Now this in replay, Josh Cook. Traffic all around and cars running out of road, and there is a black flag now for Ricky Collard. He's had so many track limit offences. George Gamble had a big moment, but a black flag for Ricky Collard. Yeah,
well, that's not good, but Ricky does like to push the limits, and he certainly pushed the limits of the officials this qualifying session, so he will take no further part in this session. Ingram Aaron Taylor Smith up to second.
Fantastic.
That puts Sutton on the bubble. Sutton is on the bubble in 10th.
And Taylor Smith missed out on the fastest time by 0.04 of a second. This is Ash Sutton coming out of Cops Corner. He's down to 10th. So this could be the session in which we do not end up with, I mean the entirety of the qualifying session, and Napa Ford on pole, but he has just gone slightly faster within the first sector. Rowbottom is down to 14th in the meantime. The one on the bubble is Sutton. The first one to miss the cut is Morgan. Sutton's got to get higher up that top 10 to be safe.
He's got traffic ahead of him who is picking up a little bit of a tow, but are they all going to concertina and slow up in front of him?
Down towards Brooklands he comes then. So Ash Sutton's lap, piece it together. He's now got a time lost in the middle sector as well. Don't think he's going to come on this lap. The traffic sort of sorts itself out. One for the pit lane. Ash is going to get one more lap out of this.
Yeah, judging by his line through Luffield, where he went very wide to cut back, that's what you do when you're preparing to start a fast lap. So you get a better run off the corner. So I'm assuming that the lap he's on now will be his quick lap.
And Rowbottom is also pushing because he's done a personal best, and Dan Lloyd likewise. So there is Adam Morgan. He's 11th. He's the first one to miss the cut, and a black flag for Bobby Thompson as well now for too many track limit offences. Right, that's Morgan then, and he's down in sector 1. So forget him. He's not going to improve. Rowbottom and Sutton are the two that we need to be keeping an eye to. The flag is going to be out imminently. We've got 11 seconds of the session to go. Rowbottom might just squeeze through for one more lap, and that could turn out to be crucial. There's traffic ahead. He was up in sector 1. He was down in sector 2. He's used all the hybrid. He comes up to break the beam. Rowbottom goes through, takes the flag, and he's 13th. He doesn't get in. Next one to look for is Sutton then. What can Ash do? He is in. He is 10th. Breaks the beam. And the net result is that the lap is no quicker, so he's 10th, but he's now dependent on what people behind him do.
Now, did Rowbottom guess? He did get the flag because he showed on MST as getting the flag. Yeah. Thought he might have just sneaked through.
And Rowbottom had that lap taken off him for track limits anyway. So I've lost count. I need to go through my list of how many Rowbottom has lost. He's not unique in being a multiple offender. Ash Sutton, lap time disallowed at the very end for track limit offences. So Jake Hill, by 0.04 of a second, is the fastest.
But interestingly, the whole of the top 10, and you pointed it out, David, are covered by 1/10 of a second. 0.109. That is 1/10 of a second, covering 10 cars. So in actual fact, the top 10 runoff that we're going to get next, you know, it's anybody's bet, because 1/10 of a second is absolutely nothing. Wow, what a qualifying session this is turning out to be. I've never seen a session that close, never ever. I mean, the whole 27 cars are covered by less than a second, 9/10. You know, half a second goes all the way down to 21st position. And I know it's a short lap, but still, with so many different cars and combinations of engine, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, chassis, it's absolutely incredible to be that close.
And the fastest of the Napa Racing Fords, Sam Osborne, who in the end was 6th fastest. Mikey Doble, another excellent effort, he was 5th. So it's Hill, Taylor Smith, Ingram, Turkington, Doble, Osborne, Butcher, remember, pole last year, pole the year before, Camish, Chilton, Sutton, the 10 that will go through. So it's been incredibly competitive, incredibly tight, and it has the potential to be even more dramatic. Pete Osborne there looking very pleased with Sam's effort. We might hear from Pete in a moment, partly as a proud team owner, partly as a proud dad, because, as I say, that was Sam's lap of laps. He was, in the end, he was 68 thousandths away from the top time, but he's in the showdown for the first time. That is quite some lap, and Louise is down there joining the Osborne family celebrations.
Yeah.
Louise, it's all yours.
Yeah, well, I'm going to dive in and have a I can see the smile. I don't know whether you can catch that on the camera, but you're a very happy boy already, aren't you? That was some lap.
Yeah, definitely some lap. I mean, we looked into a little bit of a toe down the back, which made a massive difference. So, yeah, we just got to string it together now and top first for a top 10 shootout, eh? That's interesting.
The guys were looking at your best qualifying so far this season. You are already way above that, aren't you?
Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we? So we're showing what this car can do, eh?
So I don't mean this disrespectfully, but why are you so on it with this car this weekend? Or is it just the circuit that you love? What's doing it for you?
Well, the field is so close. It's unbelievable. Like, literally, there's nothing separating any of us. So the luck comes in with a little bit of toe and a little bit of car, and it's amazing how much your weekend can change from free practice 1 being bottom of the timetables to in the top 10. So yeah, it's really something how close. You don't realise how close it really is. It's amazing, really.
You've got some very illustrious teammates. You're currently way ahead of them. So
for once, I'll be first in debrief then, won't I?
So all eyes on you to maintain the record of poles for the team, is it?
Oh, now you're putting pressure on me.
Just go out there and enjoy it. Good luck in the final shootout. Back to you guys.
Louise, thanks. Well, what a showdown this promises to be then. Just to make the point again, it's Jake Hill, Aaron Taylor-Smith, Tom Ingram, Colin Turkington, Mikey Doble, Sam Osborne, Rory Butcher, Dan Camish, Tom Chilton and Ash Sutton, who are the 10 that go through. There are still 1 or 2 laps falling out of the system for track limit offences late in that session. But I mean, that is an order that I don't think we would have predicted. Those are 10 drivers we wouldn't have necessarily put in the top 10.
And I honestly don't think we can predict how it will shape up in the final session, because with only a 10th between them, it's literally any down to anyone. And Sam made a good point. If you luck into a tow, in other words, you're just in the right distance, you know, about 100 yards and a little bit less than 100 yards behind another car who's on a good lap, so he's pulling you all the way around, you can pick up a couple of tenths. Well, a couple of tenths in this would be huge, wouldn't it?
Absolutely right. We've been talking about the margin covering the top 10. It was 0.181. It shrank again to 0.109, just fractionally over a tenth of a second. And that, just to put it in context, is about the time it takes Tim to inhale a cake. So Jake Hill, 4 thousandths of a second faster than anybody else. But all that's academic now. Those lap times you just throw away. And for those 10, we reset. Yep. So these are the 10 that go through. Jake Hill, Aaron Taylor-Smith, Tom Ingram, Colin Turkington, Mikey Doble and Sam Osborne, Rory Butcher, Dan Camish, Tom Chilton and Ash Sutton. Then the rest of the grid, barring any penalties lurking, is set. Adam Morgan, 11th. Andrew Watson behind him after that good FP2 effort. Then Dan Rowbottom ahead of Ronan Pearson. Josh Cook will be very miffed to be only 15th. And Ricky Collard, after a black flag, 16th. Then Stephen Jelly, another black flagged driver, Bobby Thompson, 18th. But ahead of his teammate Dexter Patterson. Aidan Moffat is but 20th. 21st, Dan Lloyd ahead of Darrell De Leon. And then George Gamble a long way back. Jack Butel next ahead of Michael Crease, a long way down for him. Nick Halstead. And then Jade Edwards to round out the order. We've got just under 2 minutes before the green flag flies for Q2. Right, now can I say pick somebody for pole position?
No.
Or would you just run for the door?
No, absolutely not. I've got had messages from the one and only Jason Plato, who's watching online, incredulous at just how tight it is. I don't know if he's got a pick for pole, but he's certainly loving the competitive nature of this championship now. He pointed out to me that he was on pole in 2019.
Yes.
With a slightly slower lap time than the record, although he did point out that he was 52 years old at that point.
Never lost it, did he?
No, he never lost it.
And it would be good to have him back, but right now he's a fascinated viewer. One of the most impressive people in Q1, Mikey Doble, currently second in the Jack Sears Trophy. Mikey with Louise.
Mikey, that was a great lap. All you got to do now is go out there and do it again, or maybe better.
Yeah, it'd be nice to go a little bit better, but happy with the pace we've got. It's nice to take what we had in practice through to qualifying. I still think there's a little bit more time in me and the car, so I think we're a real contender for the top spot.
You've arrived here with a car that's working well, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. The Astra's always gone well around here. I think we're going green in 30 seconds, so I better get it started up.
I'll let you get your head down. Thanks. Thank you.
Honestly, these racing drivers, Louise, they want everything.
Yeah, good old Lou, right in there till the last moment.
Right then, engines do fire. The teams are ready to push the cars back. Silverstone having this weekend, like other venues this year, adopted the principle of having the cars nose into the garage, so the people in the paddock, the fans, can see the cars, the front of the cars, rather than just the rear end. And it's again making the championship ever more fan friendly. It was pioneered here, it works well here with the huge pit garages, and the green flag is waved. The showdown is underway. 10 minutes, which doesn't sound a lot, but of course, again, to make your point, it's a short lap, so here you do get many more laps in than you would elsewhere.
And it will all depend on who's kept tyres, whether they're doing one run, and usually you do one 4-tyre run, and then for a front-wheel drive car, a pair of fronts, you can get that in this lap, in this 10 minutes.
So down the pit lane they come, and Ash Sutton, conscious that the hybrid does make a big difference around here. He's got only 1 second per lap use of it. He's up against people with the maximum 15 seconds. Let's see what he can do. He's on track then now. Clock ticks on down. That first minute disappears very quickly.
It does. I'm trying to explain to people what it's like to put just a pair of brand new tyres on the front of the car, because your balance of the car, the understeer, oversteer, is set up around 4 tyres that are up to temperature and all giving the same amount of grip, and that's when the car is in its race spec and it's perfectly balanced. The moment you then throw on 2 brand new fronts, you get this extra rush of grip to the front, which you can exploit in the slow corners, but it makes the car quite twitchy and nervous in the very fast corner. Well, we've got one fast corner here, Copse, so the drivers have to hang on to it through Copse, but use the extra grip to their maximum for traction and lack of understeer, if you like, through the slow corners. But it really does change the balance of the car.
Well, now, as the showdown is underway, we'll see how that top 10 order is going to become a grid.
And does this mean the Napa cars are going to tow each other round? Look, we've got two of them circulating together. Sutton following his teammate.
Just thinking about what we saw at the end of Q1, we kept banging on, or one of us did, about Dan Rowbottom losing lap times or whatever. Of course, had he got into the top 10, that would have knocked Ash Sutton out, which may not have been great for the long-term aim of the team.
True, yeah. Now, Sutton's now overtaken. Is he going to let Camish back past? I thought they were teeing this one up. Well, if he tees himself up and tows Camish round to a quicker lap time, it won't be good. The lights have gone on straight away on Sutton's car, so I assume he's not going to come in and do a tyre crossover. He's gone wide to get a good cut back and start a lap, so he is definitely starting a lap already, and I believe Camish might actually be coming in. Most people are coming in to change their tyre and do a crossover. Yeah, but no, Sutton is on it. Yeah,
Butcher stayed out as well, so Rory Butcher went through, and Ash Sutton and Sam Osborne have both stayed out. Camish in, Turkington stays out. You're riding with Ash Sutton, then he's still getting warmth into rubber, but he is pushing.
Well, he definitely had some oversteer through Copse. He was turning left, and we all know the track goes right there, so he was fighting some oversteer, possibly because the rears weren't quite up to temperature, but maybe he used a few extra tyres in the first session to try and get through, whereas Camish is able to slap a new set on and go and do a tyre cross.
Right, so Colin Turkington has done the target, but it's a gentle start-up lap, if you like, 60.024. However, two absolute best for Ash Sutton, who's way, way wide at Brooklands after a big moment, and he's going to have to back out of the lap, I would have thought.
Yeah, now that was definitely... The right rear is the coldest tyre on the car, and because it hasn't had a crossover, it's even colder, so that's why he lost it there. He aborted the lap, went wide again to start another lap, so he's starting another lap now, hoping to have a bit more temperature in the rears. Well, he's still got a bit of movement there. Do you see on turn-in how the car slid a little bit, but he's right out to the edge of the track.
Even with all that, he is the fastest provisionally at the moment, and this is what it looked like on board.
Changing down, he turns in early to try and load the rear up, but it still goes on him. He doesn't have to apply too much throttle to save it. In fact, it just catches it nicely, but he's on it now. That lap time so far not really indicative of what we're expecting. Oh,
so that was the replay of it, and sorts himself out, carries on. Right, Sam Osborne has come back into the pit lane, and Sutton is provisionally the quickest, but we're already at the 5.5 minute mark.
Yeah, but they only have to do one lap, so it's all about preparation for the lap, isn't it? Jake Hill.
And he's third at the moment on a 60.7 lap, and he's done a personal and an absolute best, so this should put Jake to the top of the times, although Rory Butcher has just gone fastest, continuing the Silverstone form. Jake Hill goes quicker, 57.5. Turkington is second, Sutton is third, Butcher is down to fourth. So as they come pouring across the line, part of the reason is Butcher had his lap disallowed. So Rory Butcher was the quickest, he's had it taken off him. Turkington is the fastest, Jake Hill's lap taken off him.
Yeah, but 57.6 was the quickest time in the first session, so they're nearly a second away from that. So the quick time's still to come, but clearly there's a bit of desperation coming into this, judging by the amount of track limits infringements we're getting. There's, you're pushing, you know you need every single tiny millimetre to get that when the times are so close.
Colin Turkington the fastest, and he's done, or had done, an absolute best, but now Mikey Doble has done an absolute best in the middle sector. So Turkington is top by 0.4. And here he comes up towards the line, personal best, personal best. This is where Colin Turkington's tidy style, keeping away from the track limits, might pay dividends. Sutton goes top, 57.784. Hill goes top, 57.730. Turkington goes top, 57.696.
And Rory, that's as quick as they went in first practice, in first part of the qualifying, sorry. 57.65 was the quickest then, so we're right on the money.
Doble's gone quickest, 57.6. Butcher has lost a second lap time and Camish has lost 1.
And that's the quickest time we've seen all weekend so far from Doble. So he's absolutely producing the goods when he needs to. Brilliant, brilliant stuff.
Louise told him to. She said, go out there and do it again, if not better. Yes, Louise, I'll do it, says Mikey Doble. And there's the margin, 61 thousandths of a second ahead of Colin Turkington. Hope someone's got a screen grab of this for Mikey. This is some effort then. The sole car store Power Max Racing Vauxhall Astra in this showdown. No lap time as yet out of Dan Cam because Camish had a lap time taken off him. This is Chilton, who is 6th, and he's on an improvement lap because he's got 2 personal bests, 2 greens. The other one to look for is Rory Butcher, who has had a driving standards flag for track limits, but across the line goes Chilton, and he's up to 4th. Camish, personal best, absolute best, goes 2nd. But does he keep the lap? No, he doesn't. So Dan Camish, 2nd fastest, but track limit offences mean that he doesn't keep the lap.
He looked okay through that first corner there on the start of this 2nd lap. His tyres will still be in. This is Sam Osborne setting up to start a lap, but yeah, Camish lost that lap.
So that was 2 in a row for Camish that he lost. This is Colin Turkington, who is 2nd. We've got now just 2.5 minutes to go. Mikey Doble on pole position provisionally. We haven't really seen the best out of Ingram yet, have we? He's only 8th. It does look as though this is going to be the first non-Napa pole session of the year, but we're not done yet. Up towards the timing line, Aaron Taylor-Smith has had a lap time taken off him. Rory Butcher's had another lap time taken off him. Apologies to ATS, I've forgotten he was in the top 10 because I was getting so excited about Mikey Doble, but he's lost a lap, and Butcher now, that's 3 that he's lost. Now what about Tom Ingram's chances right now? He's gone 3rd, just came over the line to be 3rd fastest, 57.6. So Doble, Turkington, Ingram, Hill, Chilton, Sutton, Camish, Taylor-Smith, Butcher, Osborne is the top 10.
Yeah, great lap by Ingram. That's a terrific lap, bearing in mind he's hardly got any hybrid use at all, just 3 seconds. Camish did manage to get a lap on the board now, 7th.
So let's see what he can do on the next one. Running out of time, 90 seconds in the session to go. And Sam Osborne's just gone through, but his lap was taken off him as well. Right, this is Chilton.
Still 2 laps you can do with 1 minute and 20 to go.
So Chilton to the timing line. Aaron Taylor-Smith has had another lap off him. So that's 2 for Taylor-Smith, 2 for Camish, 3 for Butcher. And Chilton stays 5th fastest as he goes through. We are about to drop into the last minute. Camish has just had a 3rd lap taken away. And Osborne has improved in the first sector, so as long as he's within the lines, as it were, and not running too wide over the curb, this might be better, but he's down in the middle, isn't he?
Yeah, it doesn't look particularly quick, actually. No. I think he's setting up to start a lap. So he's starting the lap now with a good exit from Luffield.
Well, this is Osborne's view then, in the setting sun, coming up towards Luffield. Ash Sutton, in the meantime, has done 2 personal bests, and he's going to squeeze 1 more lap out of the session. So Osborne goes through, Aaron Taylor-Smith goes through now. Ash Sutton up to 4th fastest, 57.6.
Oh, well, would you expect anything less from the champion that Sutton is? He found a lap just when he needed to. He's got the least amount of hybrid of anybody, just 1 second. Counts to almost nothing, but he's picked. Is that Hill just quicker? Yes.
Checker flag is out. Aaron Taylor-Smith's last lap was disallowed. And Mikey Doble is still the fastest. Jake Hill is 4th, but he was better on his last lap, but he's not improved in the first sector. There aren't that many greens in sector 1 other than Dan Camish. Ingram's just had a lap taken from him, and he's taken the flag as well. So Ingram is 3rd for the moment, depending on what anybody else can do around him. Nervous times down at Power Max, isn't it, this? Because Mikey Doble could be on for pole position.
What a fantastic achievement that would be.
Absolutely.
For him and the team. Camish to complete his lap right on the limit. Look, the car is hopping, skipping and jumping. No idea whether he'll keep this lap time or not because he's lost so many, as have many others, in fairness.
And he's down in the middle sector anyway. Dan Cam goes through, 7th fastest, slightly slower, and I think everybody else has taken the flag apart from Mikey Doble, who's just gone across the line. Jake Hill is into the pit lane. We're done. Mikey Doble, by 12 thousandths of a second, is the first man to break the Napa Racing UK monopoly. Mikey Doble, rookie to the championship this year, has just bagged a first British Touring Car Championship pole position. That is so effort. What a result.
Wow, wow, wow is all I can say. The tightest qualifying of the year, and Mikey Doble puts his Powermax Vauxhall on pole. He will have a smile from ear to ear. What a fantastic achievement.
If you can judge off the pace of a car what the driver is feeling, this kind of suggests he's a bit shell-shocked. Like, what, me? I'm on pole.
He's taking it in, isn't he? He's coming in, he's just taking it. Well, I'm going to have to talk to Louise again as pole man. He's taking it all in, but, you know, that's a fantastic effort. Yes, he had the full allocation of 15 seconds of hybrid, and yes, the car is quick here, but he still had to put it all together and beat some illustrious previous champions to do it.
This was Jake Hill on his last flying lap. He had a drama down at Brooklyn, so Jake was leaving nothing on the table, but a lock-up meant that he ended up only fourth, scrambled into the corner. But yeah, Mikey Doble, I mean, yes, he had made the point the Vauxhall Astras go well here. We'd said that at the start of the session. But like you correctly say, Tim, there's a huge amount of successful, quick, more experienced opposition. And yet, yes, the hybrid helped, but by 12 thousandths of a second, he breaks the Napa Racing monopoly on qualifying and takes the first pole.
And how many times did he break track limits? As far as I can see, just once.
Yeah, and that was in Q1, not at all in Q2.
Exactly, so he's driven perfectly.
Mikey Doble tops qualifying at Silverstone for a first pole position in the championship ahead of Colin Turkington. Tom Ingram is third ahead of Jake Hill, and significantly the pair ahead of Ash Sutton, who is fifth. Sixth, Tom Chilton from Dan Camish. Eighth, Aaron Taylor-Smith from Rory Butcher. And Sam Osborne in the top 10 for the first time this year. He rounds out those 10. Even so, it's his best qualifying of the season at the end of a very surprising, very dramatic, very topsy-turvy two-part qualifying here at Silverstone. So the car's going through the technical checks, making sure the ride height is okay. Colin Turkington second fastest then. And Sam Osborne's track limit offences meant that his good times were disallowed. So can I, for the purposes of hype here, do the top 9, which are covered by 0.281 of a second? Because if I go to the top 10, they're covered by 3 and a bit, which doesn't sound quite so good. And it doesn't really tell you how competitive the whole session has been. But 12 thousandths between the top 2 is just nuts.
It's absolutely nothing, is it? And there's only 3 hundredths between the top 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's even more crazy. But plaudits to Doble. He has the time, and it's the fastest time we've seen this weekend. That's the time to do it.
And he's got to get himself, as I hope he will, without drama, through the technical checks. But the ride height will be checked, the weight of the car will be checked, and there'll be 1 or 2 less happy people, such as Tom Ingram. He's third fastest. Well, I suppose the good thing is, Louise, at least he's ahead of Jake and Ash, isn't he?
He is indeed, and he's just handing his gear over to Sam Riches, grabbing a drink. 2 bottles, Tom. P3. Your verdict on that one?
Gin and a tonic. What more do you want? Yeah, very good. Very, very good. It's good to be here. Firstly, massive congratulations to Powermax and Mikey. He's done a fantastic job there. So, yeah, really, really pleased to see it for him. Yeah, we're in good shape. Yeah, I think that I think the lack of hybrid does affect it around here, as we've kind of seen. But no, very, very pleased to be lining up in fairly good place for tomorrow. Let's see what race day brings.
What are your thoughts looking ahead to the race day?
Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be stood here. I'll be having a crystal ball stall on the side of the promenade somewhere. But I think we need to just, as I said to you when you and I spoke earlier on, it's just going to be a case of trying to be managed risk this weekend and try to take out anything that we can and bag as many points as we can. But yeah, very, very pleased. Good place, but yeah, man of the moment's over there.
Yeah, let's go and let's just bring the camera in on the moment of the man of the moments. If we can just dive through, and we'll head in. He's just climbing out the car, but I'm sure he pushing in as always in front of the lovely Alan Hyde. I'm sure he won't mind. But wow, 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 wow. How fantastic. How good was that?
Thanks, mate. Well done, mate. Oh, I can't quite believe what's just happened. I mean, getting in the top 10 shootout was an achievement enough. I just thought, right, we're here now. Thank you very much. Pole position. Yeah, getting in the top 10 was unbelievable, but to go out and get pole and to hear the engineers say, I don't think anyone's going quicker, I'm like, Is this really happening? But yeah, over the moon for it.
I mean, by that point, you've done all you can. It's kind of in the hands of the gods, isn't it, to see whether anybody could beat that time. How nervous were you about that?
I wasn't nervous about not being on pole position. It's new territory for me. But, you know, when you go into those top 10 shootouts, people don't generally have that much rubber left. So if you're leading with a few minutes to go, then the chances are, unless someone pulls out a miracle, you're going to be on pole position. So, yeah, there we are. I told you I'd be a contender going into this top 10.
You did, and I said to you, go out there and go faster, and you did just that. But such a tight session as well. How perfect did you have to be? How perfect was that lap?
I'd have to go back and look through the data, but the thing I kept telling myself was just to not overdrive the car. We've had the pace all day. It's been effortless in the car. The car's been on rails. I can't thank the guys enough at Car Store Power Max Racing. But yeah, I've just got to go out there and do its thing and just do what it's capable of doing.
Well done. Congratulations. It's a fantastic result for you. Now, let me just having a look around. Yes, I can see Colin Turkington. Let's go over and dive in. I'm afraid poor Alan Hyde. I'm going to have to disturb him again to dive in and grab a word with Colin. Colin, congratulations, front row start, and a new boy alongside you.
Yeah, thank you, Louise. Yeah, P2 is more than I thought we could achieve. You know, on the front row. Once I got through to Q2, I was thinking I can see a P6 on the cards here. You know, looking at free practice, that's sort of our pace, but. Yeah, it's a one-lap wonder. You just have to send it, and yeah, I don't think I had much of a toe on that lap. That would have helped, but you know, congratulations to Mikey. You know, it's getting on your first pole position is a big moment. You know, it's quite a few years ago for me now, but I remember that, and it's you know, congratulations. They've, you know, to Parmax, they've done a great job there, but you know, hopefully we can put them under pressure tomorrow and you know, nick a podium.
So top 6, you were thinking that was all you had in you.
Well, of course, qualifying you never know. Free practice, we were just on the old carryover tyres, so it's all changes when you put new rubber on. But yeah, it's always so close around Silverstone, and you know, I don't think I've ever been this far up in qualifying. I was P10 last year, you know, giving it stacks. So you know, that's why I thought P6 I'd be happy. But P2 is, yeah, it's so close at the front. You know, I could have been pole or I could have been 5th or 6th. You know, it's like a 10th covering most of us.
Race is clearly different, but given what we've seen today, can we expect really close racing as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, last year was close. Going on the form book this season, it'll be even closer. So, you know, a lot of it's dictated by the start and, you know, the first couple of laps for us. You know, obviously that's where we have to work a bit harder. So if we can get a clean getaway. But yeah, I'm keeping good company at the front of the grid. You know, Dick told me who else is sort of Ingram, Sutton, you know, all the big hitters. So yeah, I'm in good company.
Great stuff. We'll see you out there tomorrow. Back to you guys.
Louise, thanks very much. Well, yeah, Mikey Doble, you can understand why he's a bit shell-shocked. And if you look through the numbers in terms of drivers with pole positions, there are many that regularly win races that don't get poles. But again, make the point that there are only 10 of these sessions a year. Yes, there are 30 races, but we only have, of course, 10 qualifying sessions. So you don't get that many opportunities to grab a pole position. So well done, Mikey Doble. His first and the first to break that monopoly of Napa Racing UK this year. Sets us up nicely for race day, doesn't it? And tomorrow, here on the national circuit, we're going to be on air on ITV4 from 11 a.m. With, of course, the 3 touring car races with both Carrera Cup GB races. We've got the Porsche Sprint Challenge, we've got the Mini Challenge, and also Caterhams as the guest championship this weekend. So a day of fantastic racing to look forward to tomorrow. Depending on whose weather forecast you believe, that might throw something into the mix as well, but we'll find out what that has in store tomorrow from 11. We'll see you then. For now, though, from Louise Goodman, Tim Harvey and David Addison, goodbye from Silverstone.